dear friends, to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. I'm Debbie Georgiani along with Jerry Usher, and today is a show that we believe you are going to want to share your experience with. We're talking about and to young married couples, young Catholic married couples, those that have prepared for marriage and are entering into this sacramental union and really want to keep Christ at the center of their marriage and to do all that it takes to safeguard their relationship, to stay in their marital bubble, and to keep the world outside where it belongs, because we know that the world plays a big part in trying to divide and destroy the marital union. And so today we're going to be talking to the young marrieds, talking about the young marrieds, and offering just some nice discussion about how we can help and support the newly married Catholic couples, and how we can really, really be aware of what's happening to their marriage right at the get-go. So we want to hear from you at 1-800-585-9396. What do you think about this, Jerry, about the outside world coming into this?
Well, I think it's important. I'm not sure I would say, keep the outside world out so much as just how do you deal with the the world around you is kind of the way I would look at it. And what we mean by this is, folks, if you are, and when we say just married, I mean, maybe you've been married a few years. We're looking for those of you who are fairly recently married, and you went through the marriage prep, and you've got your faith. You're both faithful. Maybe one spouse is faithful to the Catholic faith. Maybe you've started having a family already. You're having kids. Okay, you're pulled in a million different directions. It's easy to say, you know what, this Sunday, honey, we just the child is sick, so let's skip mass. Or your peers, your neighbors, they challenge your faith, or you're just really tempted by the allurements of the world to think a certain way that's contrary to your faith, to live and act a certain way that's contrary to your faith. So it's, Debbie, this topic is so important because, as I think John Paul II said, as the family goes, so goes the culture.
That's right.
So this topic, as couples are entering into marriage and starting families, how are you doing it? How are you making a go of it and remaining faithful, devout, prayerful, finding time for prayer, going to adoration, things like that?
Keeping Christ at the center. And you bring up a good point, though, Jerry, because we do have to be in this world. We have to have one foot in this world and one foot in the spiritual world. We get that. But, I think what as a married person, my husband and I often talk about this, our bubble. We have our own couple's bubble, and we try really hard to keep the outside influences, not invading our union, our bubble. And I think that's where I'm going with it, is that there's, like you said, Jerry, there's so many things that influence our lives and can distract us from the main focus of keeping Christ at the center of our relationships. And these newly married couples, after going through the preparation and going through a beautiful marital ceremony, and then to face the world and to maybe, are you feeling supported by your community? Are you feeling supported by your neighborhood? Maybe in your parishes, are there groups that are grouping together as young marrieds to support each other, to keep each other on track, to moving forward in a Christ-centered relationship? We want to hear from you, dear listeners, because this is an important topic. I mean, if we're really going to talk about supporting marriage in general, let's start right at the core of it with our newly married young couples that are entering into a beautiful life together and trying to have a beautiful Catholic Christian family. How do we support them? 1-800-585-9396.
Yeah, we certainly want to hear from those of you who are young couples, but we might also open it up, Debbie, to maybe grandparents. If you have a son or daughter who is recently married, and they got married in the church, and it was just this beautiful, Catholic ceremony, and married, according to the church's understanding of matrimony. And you have concerns for them that they remain devout and regularly, fervently practicing their faith. Maybe you've seen them start out that way, but then it's easy sometimes to kind of get a little bit lax in the practice of the faith, especially, as we said, as the family duties start to mount. You have one child, maybe another one, you get a new job. You get involved in things, activities. So even if you are parents of young people who've just gotten married, and maybe you have some suggestions as to how you try and support them in their Catholic faith as recently married.
Right. I think this is a great topic, and we're already getting calls right now. So, dear listeners, our phone lines fill up very, very fast. And keep in mind, we do pick one particular caller that kind of just really hits on to the target of what we're trying to get to at the heart of the discussion, and we call it a short take, and we'll repost that on take2show.com and also on Facebook on the EWTN Catholic Radio Facebook, which, by the way, dear listeners, please like that Facebook page and share with your friends. We want to try to get it up to 5,000 likes by the end of the year, and you can help us do that if you would just invite a handful of your friends. That's all we're asking you to do. But jump in here and let's talk about being newly married in the Catholic faith, having a sacramental marriage, and how do we keep it on track? How do we keep Christ at the center? Jerry, I have to tell you something. I've met a lot of couples that started out in a beautiful, they went through the proper preparation at the parish level. They went through a beautiful marriage ceremony, and they started off their marriage strong, going to Mass every weekend, even going to adoration, signing up for adoration. And then I've known a couple couples who shall be nameless that all of a sudden Christ started taking a back seat. Other things became more important. And before you know it, Christ was sitting in the very back of the seat instead of driving the bus. And you know what? It was sad to watch. And it's still sad to watch. I'm watching it actually unfold. And we've got to pray for these couples that they bring Christ to the center before they hit a suffering or a tragedy that brings them to their knees and makes them realize what's important. This is topics we want to talk about. 1-800-585-9396.
Yeah, we will get to your calls in just a few minutes. Debbie and I both know, we know a couple of people, but they're married. And I just wanted to mention one way that they have done this. They live in the San Francisco Bay Area, and it's two young couples recently married. Both wives are expecting kids, and they have made an intentional decision to live together in sort of like a community setting. It's not so much, I'm sure it's good to have the financial savings, but they have basically talked to each other and said, we want to be supported and we need the support. And, a place like the Bay Area, not to pick out one single area that could be tough, especially with some of the assaults on the faith, but this is going on everywhere. So again, if you are a recently married couple, maybe you're still holding it together, your take could be just what it takes to turn a couple around who, like Debbie said, may have gotten, started on the right foot and then all of a sudden find themselves, yeah, it's important, but not quite as important as it once was. So this is what we're talking about today.
So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to go right to the phones. Ashley, you'll be up first from Pennsylvania, so hold on Holy Spirit Radio. We're going to take a quick break. We're talking about newly married Catholic couples and how do they stay on track and focused and Christ-centered. Stay with us on Take Two. We'll be right back.
EWTN is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If your cable or satellite provider doesn't carry EWTN's full programming lineup, give them a call and let them know you would like to receive EWTN 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
For more information, go to EWTN.com and click on Television.
Chaffetz Arena on the campus of St. Louis University will be the venue for the first ever One Faith Experience and One Faith Extreme. Tickets are now on sale for this amazing one-day event next April 23rd. You'll be inspired throughout the day by 6 world-class Catholic speakers, including Tim Staples, Father Larry Richards, Hector Molina, Deacon Harold Burke-Sivers, Sonia Corbett, and Adam Bly. That evening, the Thirsting will lead off an unforgettable concert headlined by 2-time Dove Award winner Matt Maher. All seats are reserved and are expected to go fast. To learn more or purchase your tickets, log on to onefaithexperience.com. That's onefaithexperience.com.
Hi, this is Teresa Tomeo, host of Catholic Connection, and we're glad you're listening to the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
Thanks for joining us on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. If you were listening on the break and you heard that wonderful spot for the One Faith Experience, exciting. You heard about Matt Maher. Well, he's actually going to be on our show this Friday. So make sure you mark your calendars because he's got a lot to say, and you want to call in. I mean, last time the phone lines were just jammed, so make sure you call in on Friday. We're going to talk about feeding your faith, and Matt's got a lot to share with us. So that's exciting. When I heard that spot, Jerry, I got real excited because I thought, oh, we've got Matt on this week. So.
Yeah, looking forward to that, and looking forward to your takes on our topic today. Just married, you're Catholic, now what? How do you feed your faith, especially in a world that just really throws all kinds of opportunities your way to water down the faith, to make it less important than it should be? So young married couples, husbands, wives, how's that going for you? And maybe you are a mom or dad, you've raised your kids, but now your kids are getting married. Tell us how you support them. It's so important, I know, to parents that when their kids get married and start having their grandkids, that they remain devout and faithful in their Catholic faith. So if you're in that position, let us hear from you too at 1-800-585-9396.
Okay, as promised, we're going to Ashley in Pennsylvania listening on Holy Spirit Radio. Hi, Ashley. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Hey, good, Ashley. How are you?
Good. Just wanted to call in. It's funny, I just turned my car on and heard this topic. It's a topic me and my husband talk about all the time. We're both 24 years old. We got married 6 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
So we try to keep reflecting on how we can keep Christ-centered in our marriage as we go forward through a lifelong marriage together. So.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yes, Ashley, that's beautiful. What's your husband's first name?
His name is Luke.
Luke. So Ashley and Luke, congratulations, 6 weeks ago. So Ashley, share with us maybe, because you're going to be helping. I mean, you're going globally right now, so you're going to be helping so many young married couples. Ashley, so staying Christ-centered in your life. Now, you've been only married 6 weeks, so you have a great start. And I think it's wonderful that you called in, because this is only going to promote and kind of confirm and revalidate how you feel as a couple to be able to really make Christ the focus. Are there certain practices you're putting in place are you guys signing up for ministry together? Are you thinking about that for the 2016 year or something like that, or anything you've got on the horizon that maybe you can share with all of our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, our deacon approached us last week as we were walking out of Mass and asked us to be RCIA sponsors for the upcoming year. So I think we're both seriously considering that. So actually something that I wanted to talk about was kind of like maybe an obstacle that's unique to the younger married generation than previous generations, would be student loan debt and kind of our confine to our jobs and to commutes and things like that, and being able to keep Christ in our day-to-day lives but still having that kind of obligation.
Yeah, Ashley, that's actually something that is dear to my heart, because you may not be aware that I also have a ministry called Vocation Boom, and we encourage young men to become priests. And I can't tell you how many times young men and women are stifled in pursuing a priestly religious vocation because of academic debt. And having been to college myself, I remember the day when I finally paid mine off. That monthly payment would go in every month, and you'd look at the balance and say, I thought I just made a payment. It was almost like magic, right? It seems like the total never goes down. So you really have a very major concern there. But you sound like the type of person, Ashley, that you and Luke are going to do the right things. You are going to put a budget in place, and I can't encourage you enough. And you know this already. To just get that thing paid off as soon as you can, because there's going to be great freedom when that comes.
In the future, I'm hoping that I can be a mom as good of a mom as Mary was, and all the things that she did. And it just, when you have to live in a Catholicistic environment that Pope Francis so encourages us to consider it every day, it makes it tough.
Yeah, well, Ashley, I wanted to add one more thing before we let you go. I'm sure you got a busy day ahead of you, but you and Luke, you didn't just decide on your wedding day to say, all right, now we've got to really be, concerned about our faith. It sounds like this is probably something you two have been preparing for and already putting into practice as you were moving toward becoming married. Is that fair to say?
That's fair. That's
Yeah.
definitely fair.
Well, and here's the thing, Ashley. Jerry, who's the guest we had on about that talked about student debt? And remember the guest we had on? He was fabulous. I can't. Oh, I'm going to get it for you, Ashley. Keep listening to the show because he addressed young couples and about student debt and he was just really phenomenal, and he had some resources, and there was some stuff that you could look up on a website, and I don't know if that interests you, but if you keep listening, we'll mention it before the end of the show. But, Ashley, the one thing I just wanted to share is that I think it's a great idea if you can manage it and it doesn't overtax you and Luke to be an RCIA sponsor, because you're feeding your faith, you're continuing to grow in your faith, and while you've still got the pressure or still kind of that stress of the student loan debt and stuff, by counterbalancing it by feeding your spiritual life, it'll help you get through that in a much more a better way. So as opposed to just kind of maybe worrying about it or kind of letting that stress kind of, overcome you. So I've always encouraged people, if they can do it and it doesn't overtax you, if you can do it together, it's even better. So if you and Luke can be sponsors together, that gives you your time, your special time and formation together. And really, just so you know, as you know, you're not alone. So many young couples starting out are facing pressures and stressors right off the get-go, but it's how they come back to center with Christ at the center that allows them to really get through anything in life. And that's really what being married is all about and what life is all about, I believe. I'm 50 years old now, but I don't know if that helps you at all or gives you any sense of confirmation that maybe going into RCIA sponsorship would be great.
Yeah, no, it does. Thank you so much, and I agree with everything. Thank you for taking my call.
All right, Ashley, thank you very much. 1-800-585-9396. That is our number. If you are a newly minted couple, newly married, recently, not newly, but recently. It could be in the last several years, actually. Young couples trying to be faithful to Christ and to the church and raise your kids and just hold this all together. Let us hear from you. Again, I think what Ashley shared is going to have ripple effect and impact on a lot of young couples, and you could do the same. And likewise, we welcome those of you who are parents of young people getting married and starting to raise their kids. You've got that concern as well, that they remain faithful and devout. 1-800-585-9396.
But Jerry, here's what's so great about it. When Ashley was talking about the deacon stopped them and talked about her and Luke becoming RCIA sponsors. See, that's very important because a lot of young couples, when they get married, Jerry, they get so focused on their new married life and the getting through the day-to-day life of being married and working and loans and debts and everything, that they forget sometimes that spiritual formation, faith formation is an ongoing process until the day we die. And so I thank that deacon, whoever that deacon, you should go up to that deacon, Ashley and Luke, and thank that deacon for spotting you guys out and saying, hey, get involved in ministry, because that's important. That's what keeps us bonded and united. I tell everybody all the time, if you can do some kind of ministry work, that is a key to really being able to navigate through this crazy thing called life. That's what I always say.
All right, back to your phone calls. 1-800-585-9396. Important conversation today that you are driving, and we're going to go to Alberta, Canada. Aquina, listening on Sirius XM 130. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Aquina, did I get the name right?
Yes, that's my name.
Beautiful name. And what is your take on this topic today, Aquina?
Well, I've been married for about a year now, and what I just wanted to bring up to people is to make them aware of the Creighton model system. It's something that my husband and I have started using, and it's not something that was mentioned in marriage prep. It was brought up at a Catholic conference that I was at. And I think it's just a really good way to keep Christ at the center of your marriage in the most intimate way. So it's something that I would like to bring to everyone's attention, whether they're newly married or planning on becoming married. It's something that you can start even if you're not in a relationship. It's paying attention to your biomarkers. So just wanted to bring that up.
Well, Aquina, for all of our listeners who aren't familiar with the Creighton model, can you kind of just give us the quick, you did a little bit, but give us the Reader's Digest version. Are you driving, Aquina?
Yes, and I'm on hands-free, so don't worry, Debbie.
Oh, good. Thank you so much. But if you could just give us the Reader's Digest version, because it's a practice to really know your bodies and to understand it better, and just give us a little bit, and maybe give us the website where people can go to learn more about it.
Well, it's basically, as a woman, paying attention to your biomarkers. I don't want to go too into detail, but it's basically something that you can be naturally aware of what your body's doing, and it's a way of doing natural family planning without using something like the pill or any other kind of quote-unquote protection. It's a way to stay faithful in your marriage, not only to your spouse, but to Jesus as well. And there's numerous sites, but the best way to do it is just to Google the Creighton model system.
Okay, so you can Google it. And there's resources there, I believe, Aquina, because I just looked it up too, and I think you can get more information. So that's really helpful. So you've been married a year, so you're still considered a newlywed. And tell us, in addition to using the Creighton model, how are you in just your day-to-day relationship sense, practical sense? How are you keeping Christ at the center so you can educate all of us? Are you guys in ministry? Are you doing ministry work, or what are you doing?
Well, my husband isn't Catholic, but that's something obviously I'm working on. And a good way that I'm trying to show him the benefits of it is not only the Creighton model system, but I've joined as a leader of RCIA this year. And I'm also on parish council, and I'm in Bible study as well. So in a way, I'm just trying to show him all of the benefits of being Catholic. And you know, I'm gone a few evenings every week, but at least I can go home and discuss with him the things that happened. And especially with the RCIA class, I can discuss the miracles that are happening in the people that we're teaching there. And it's piquing his curiosity for sure. So that's kind of what I'm doing.
That is beautiful. I have to tell you, Aquina, I've had a lot of RCIA sponsors and teachers that have non-Catholic spouses, and they've invited them to some of the classes that had more of the questions and answers, and kind of people, kind of challenging the faith a little bit. And you're right about piquing the interest, because a lot of non-Catholic spouses have sat in the back of the room, and then we find out later they've secretly signed up for RCIA, and it's kind of interesting. So we're going to send some prayers out to surround your family, Aquina, that your husband has continued to be open to the faith. And you're doing a great job, great ministry work, and it sounds like you have a great system you're following for your married life, and we want to support that as well. So we'll say an extra prayer for you guys, and thank you so much for calling in, and thank you for being hands-free on that headset.
Yeah, thanks, Aquina, for your call to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Michelle in Sacramento, you will be up next. We're going to get a break here in less than a minute. Our topic today, just married, Catholic, now what? Gentlemen, where are you? Guys, I mean, as called to be the spiritual, head of your home. Love to hear from some of you gentlemen of recently married couples. Again, it doesn't have to be, a year or less. It could be, you could be married 10 years and still be, a young Catholic couple. When you start having kids and they're in school and activities and the world and the allurements, and that you want that promotion and just a lot of things come at you. How do you keep it all together for Christ and the faith? 1-800-585-9396.
For a complete list of the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network AM and FM stations across America, go to EWTN.com. Look for the radio pull-down menu and select AM/FM stations. The list is updated regularly, so visit often. Again, go to EWTN.com. Look for the radio pull-down menu and select AM/FM stations. Also at EWTN.com, you'll find out how to listen to us on the web, on shortwave, and in some countries on satellite. You'll find it all on EWTN.com.
60 Seconds with Mother Angelica.
We have to think the way God thinks. See? If I hate my brother, that's not how God thinks. If you lie or cheat, that's not how God is. If you have a hot temper, if you're proud, arrogant, if you find it hard to forgive and forget, that's not like God. What does that mean? It means you're not acting like God. You know, it's foolish to think that you're going to die and pop, boom, right into heaven when you hate half the people there. You know, you still hate your mother-in-law. You still hate, may she rest in peace, but you hope she doesn't. All these people you don't even like.
The people you know and trust are on EWTN.
What's stopping you from becoming a Catholic?
Why can't women become priests?
I don't understand why I have to earn salvation.
How is it possible that God created everything?
Why do I need to confess my sins to a priest?
Why is the Catholic Church so unwilling to
The Catholic Church is too rich.
Catholics worship Mary and are
As far as I'm concerned, all religions are equal.
You are called to communion with Dr. David Anders. Today, 2 p.m. Eastern, on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. A couple of things Debbie and I want to just add before we go to Michelle, and then we've got Mary and Emanuela. And again, guys, where are you? You know, if you're Catholic and follow Catholic teaching, then it takes a woman and a man to get married. We've had all wives call in today, so let's have some recently married husbands get a hold of us. And maybe you're at work and you can't call in right now, but if you're able to, we'd love to hear a guy's perspective too at 1-800-585-9396. Just wanted to mention that Aquina's call reminded me of the Pope Paul VI Institute. That's in Omaha, Nebraska. I think they are the sort of the pioneers of the Creighton model and NAPRO technology, fertility care. It has helped countless couples who couldn't conceive have children. So, folks, if you have any issues in that regard in your marriage, go to Pope Paul VI, which is Roman numeral 6, Pope Paul VI, PopePaul6.com. You get information there. And you had something you wanted to add.
I did. I hope Ashley is still listening from Pennsylvania. Ashley, the financial expert we had on was Ray Lucia, and you can find his website at raylucia.com. And
Lucia.
Lucia. And he was really good. He really offers some practical advice for those that are dealing with student loans and debt, and he really just is great. So, Ashley, if you're listening, and the others, Ray Lucia. Would you say Lucia or Lucia?
Lucia. Well, Lucia? He says Lucia, so that's good enough for me.
Yeah, because that's Italian, isn't it?
I believe so.
Yeah, I know. It's a very nice name.
Another good financial website is VeritasFinancialMinistries.com. Very good friend of Debbie's and mine, Phil Lenahan at Catholic Answers, runs VeritasFinancialMinistries.com. Okay, without further delay, back to your calls. Great conversation going on. And Michelle, you're just going to add something great to it, I know, in Sacramento. Thanks for calling Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, Michelle.
Hi, thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
So I'm not a newly married couple. I'm not a newlywed. My husband and I have been married for 12 years, but we have 3 children. And I think today that many people who are in our age group and younger face a tremendous pressure to have their children be in everything, do everything, be the best at everything. And when you do that, the temptation is to let your faith fall to the back seat. Well, I have to go to soccer practice, and I have this soccer game on Sunday, so we can't make it to Mass this week. And, there's this tremendous pressure. And we decided in our family that, if the kids want to do a sport, that's fine, but it can't conflict with Mass on Sunday. It can't conflict with our family time and our faith. And, whatever they do has to work around all of our faith life. And you have to make a conscious effort to do that. And it takes a lot of prayer and strength from Our Lady and from our Lord to be able to resist that temptation. But it's there, and you have to make a conscious kind of decision in your family that Mass is the most important thing every week. We always go to Mass without fail.
Yeah, especially, Debbie, when perhaps all of Michelle and her husband's kids' friends are all, they're all out at the soccer field, doing stuff on Sundays, and yet here they're trying to do something a little bit different. That's going to be a bit of a challenge, just to try and help bring the understanding to the kids of why that is.
Right, absolutely. And Michelle, it sounds like you and your husband are united in this same thought process, that you're together in this, in making a faith formation and church a priority over sports or extracurricular activities. Am I correct in that?
Yes.
Yeah. See, that's perfect. Well, I will share with you that when you have that, when a husband and wife are together as one mind on this, and you do it together with a real clear intention and a real committed action to make the priority faith, your faith life, it's just amazing what it does in the family. And so you are very, very blessed, and to have that that you and your husband are together on that, and that's. I can imagine how hard it is with the outside world pressuring in. And we have a lot of families, a lot of married couples where the husband and wife are on two different pages, and that makes it really difficult. And so it's important for us to, what you said, I think is just so profound when you said you have to stay aware. It has to be a conscious effort. Absolutely. And it has to be an unwavering effort. Because what happens is there are so many circumstances, having 3 children, so many things pop up at the last minute. You'll have a neighbor or a friend or co-worker or schoolmate or whatever come and say, well, can you do this? And all of a sudden your mind's, distracted to another area when it should be focused on the family and faith. And so, Michelle, you've imparted some really strong and deep words for all of us to take note of, because we must stay aware that our faith walk for our families and for ourselves is the most important thing. The rest will all come as extracurricular stuff. So I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to share, but I that's what I took away from your experience.
No, I totally agree. And even and what you mentioned, things popping up, it happens all the time. We get birthday party invitations for our kids. And it's like, oh, it's on a Sunday. And there's been a few times where I've caved, and I always have regretted it. We went to Mass, but then, later in the day, we're cramming in some birthday party for some kid. And it takes away from that specialness of Sunday to go and separate your family and go do other things. And after that happened once or twice, I thought, oh, I just can't do this anymore. And my husband isn't Catholic, but I'm so blessed to have a man who supports our faith so strongly. And I'm working on him. He's amazing. And I think he has a Catholic heart. He just doesn't know it,
Well, you know what, Michelle? All of our listeners are going to be working on him, too, now that you said that, because, you got a global prayer team with you. Thanks, Michelle, for the call. That was beautiful. We appreciate you joining us on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. And, this isn't about saying, families don't do activities. You could even do certain things on Sundays. We're not here to tell you how to live your lives or anything. Really, the question is, though, are you keeping Christ in it? Are you making sure that Christ comes first? Mm-hmm. The Bible and the Lord, and it all talks about, God wants the first fruits from us. Mm-hmm. After that, we're free. We're free in Christ to do what we want. But as long as we are faithful to our relationship with Him first. I think that's the point we're trying to make here. And we're going to find out what's on Robert's mind. We got a gentleman called in from Lafayette, Louisiana, listening on Sirius XM 130. Robert, thanks for calling Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. How are you?
I'm well today. How are you?
Dude, we're doing better now that you called.
Well, thank you. I had just gotten into my vehicle, and I heard you say you wanted some guys to call. And newlywed men, and I am newlywed. I'm newlywed every day, and because every day I have to choose to love my wife, and every day she chooses to love me. And so in reality, I'm newlywed today.
Well, that's beautiful. How long have you been? How many years worth of days have you been a newlywed, Robert?
28.
28 years. So, and to get to 28 years and feel this way about your wife, and she feels that way about you, a lot of hard work has to have gone into that, and a lot of good decisions. So, is there anything, Robert? Can you just pinpoint, how you've kept your faith front and center, or what do you think has been the secret for you and your wife?
It was something I learned when I was a junior in high school at Holy Cross. And there was a brother named James McDonald who's passed away now. And we called him Brother Love because he taught human sexuality and church history. And he said, you can fall off a ladder and you can fall into a hole, but you can't fall in love because love is a choice. And so even during the times that were difficult and the times that we had to work through things, we still chose to love each other. And that choice means that you approach that person, your spouse, with the idea that I love you no matter what. I start there. Whatever disagreement we may have or whatever difficulty we have to work through, I start at the point of I know you love me and I love you. And that means we have a commitment to each other forever. And there's, I think once you start at that point, that I know she loves me. So even though things may happen or get said that may seem to be or perceived to be difficult or even hurtful, I know she loves me. And I know it comes from a point, everybody's broken. We're all broken. And so for her to love me, she has to love me even in my own brokenness, and I have to love her even in her own brokenness. And that's okay. That's where Christ comes in, because he heals those wounds. And once you approach it from that perspective, I think, and once you know that I know she loves me, anything can be worked through. And so I can tell you we're at an incredible place in our marriage right now and in our lives. We had 8 children. 3 of them are not with us. They've passed on. We have 5 that are still here that are all over the country. And it is incredible that God gifted me with this most incredible, beautiful woman to complete his work in me. And I can't be more thankful. So everybody that heard this knows how I feel about her and how I appreciate the gift that she is to me.
Well, Robert, we have so much to comment on your story, but can you share your wife's first name so we can honor her as well?
Her name is Annette.
Annette. Well, Annette and Robert, you have a beautiful marriage, a beautiful family. And Robert, when I was listening to you speak, the tears were just welling up in my eyes, because every sentence you spoke was a life-giving sentence. I don't know if you even realize that. It seems like it's so natural to you, but every sentence you said was just filled with very positive, reinforcing, uplifting words that just bring life. And I think that is a wonderful gift that you have. And you made the comment that you have, just an incredible life right now. And I'm just curious. This is a total curious thing. Are you and your wife in some kind of ministry together that you're teaching others this great aspect of marriage? Because you have definitely been gifted with this, and it's just amazing. I mean, I normally am never speechless or without words, and I just couldn't even think of a word. I filled with tremendous joyful emotion at your words. So are you doing anything with that?
Well, it's interesting. We are in a ministry in a sense that our marriage and the way we project that out in the public, just the general public, when we're together and even when we're not together, our marriage is supposed to be an image of the marriage in heaven. And so if we live that way, that gets projected out. So that in and of itself becomes a ministry. But as a formal ministry, no. We both work in the private sector. And we reared our children the best we could. And I know we made some mistakes along the way. And I pray every day that the Lord will forgive me for those. And He'll bless me for the times that I did things properly and in accordance with His will. And we take a new day. We wake up in the morning. We look at each other and thank the good Lord that this is the person I have for the time that I'm here and to help me along the way. And it's a journey, though. It's not.
Yeah.
There's no magic to it. It's just a journey, and it's
a journey. But amen to that, though, Robert. But you are in a ministry. I mean, when I refer to ministry, you're absolutely correct. Formal ministry, or just your daily life, being a witness to others, and that's what you're doing. So you are in a ministry, just being a model to all of us. And I just have to tell you, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for taking the time and calling in, because you really just shared so much, just a wealth of wisdom and information that'll help all of us on our journey as well. So thank you, Robert, for your call today.
Yeah, I thank you too, Robert. God, peace be with you and Annette, your wife, and have a truly beautiful and blessed day. We're going to get to as many of you as we can. We've just got so many great calls here on the line. So Sherry is next in East Aurora, New York, listening on one of our favorite stations, the Station of the Cross. Hello, Sherry. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hi, how are you? This is my first time calling in.
Well, welcome. Welcome.
I've never
Thank you
called
for
Catholic Radio. How are you guys doing?
Pretty well, Sherry. How's your day going?
Not bad. Not bad. I caught you guys at a good time because my kids are both quiet. I have two under the age of 2, so right now it's quiet.
Awesome.
All right. So how do you view this topic that we're talking about?
Well, I'm newly married, less than a year. It'll be a year at the end of January. But I did want to call. I'm listening to all these success stories. They're beautiful. And I'm struggling. I'm on the end where I need some prayers. So if you can have your listeners pray for me, and you guys can pray for me. We had a rough journey. We were together. It'll be for 3 years now total, but the initial 2 were very, very tough. We conceived both children before we wed, and then we went through pre-Cana successfully so. But I think on the inside for me there was a lot of pressure, maybe fear to do the right thing, and I don't know if I was ready. Sometimes I just kind of second guess that and just pray through it and hope that God can give me the strength when I doubt that. But I think because our journey was a bit backwards, it's catching up with us, and it just catches us in vulnerable times, but me especially because, I went from completely independent to now I'm dependent at home with the 2 little ones, and my husband's a convert to the faith, so that was a blessing, in our journey. He went from agnostic to Catholic. He went through the RCIA, and now he's even one of the sponsors for the newcomers. So that's a beautiful blessing. But I just would like us to be able to share our faith more with some strength and authenticity, in our day-to-day battles here at the home and with the kids.
Right.
So I don't know if you guys have any suggestions for me. I would appreciate it.
Yeah, actually, I actually do. From the years that I spent in working with couples getting married, and I want to just say something to you, just from being a mom. My kids are grown, but you're a mom of 2 very young children, both in diapers, and I will tell you that, Sherry, that's your main that's your main daily focus, is those two children. And it's very hard sometimes. You're going to have to make a conscious effort to make sure you and your husband have that private time together. I know it's very difficult. And like you said, when you started off, it didn't kind of go, the way that maybe it could have gone, and it went a different way. But that's, you're here now. This is where you're at. You have a husband who went from being agnostic into the Catholic faith, and now he's a sponsor. That is huge. You two are together in your Catholic faith. It's important for you to have your family time with the children, but then your couple time. You have to really make that conscious effort to build each other, because you need that time. You got to make up for that lost time, that it would have been your time together, just you and your husband. And I will share something with you. The Satan and the world attacks when you're most tired, when you're hungry, when you're stressed out, when you're just spent with every emotion you can possibly have for the day. And so that's the worst time to bond with your spouse. You want to bond with your spouse when you're refreshed and you can really have a good, undistracted time together, one-on-one with you and your husband. I don't know if this is speaking anything to you, but I can tell you, I feel for you because you have two children. So they are the priority because they need you. They're dependent on you. And so it's going to be very hard. It's a juggling act, but I know you can weave in some time, and I'm going to personally pray for you and your husband and your kids, that you do get that quality time one-on-one with your husband when you're not tired, when it's not at the end of the day. Does that help at all?
Yeah, it does. It does resonate. Luckily he has his job. He's a counselor, but he's out of the house. And I've noticed that, like you said, when I'm tired, when I'm hungry, and I'm those things very often because I'm home, and this job is 24/7. And right. Before my journey with his name's Leo, I was contemplating the religious life. So this is actually a different. I have to open my heart in a different way to. A different journey that's also noble, and God's will is all around us. I can see that, but it's just a personal struggle for me to not fall victim to that hardness of heart. And I'm noticing that I experience a lot of confusion in the would've, could've, should've, feeling as if I may have been better suitable elsewhere, and I have to really focus in those moments and say, you know what, this is the here and now. I am here. I have to pray on this. Help me draw nearer to my husband. Help me fulfill the needs of my children. God, make yourself truly present to me. Send me something that will help make this journey easier, so that I can be an instrument for your grace. And so, this morning, that's when I turned on your radio, and immediately I heard the topic, and I thought, okay, well, thank you. I needed that today.
Yeah. Sherry, praise God. Praise God. The Holy Spirit works that way. And we're going to let you go on that note. I just wanted to point out to you and to everybody, I'm not saying you're at this place, but we all get to this place. This is looking ahead. January 14th, Debbie and I are going to do a show. We've given it a topic. The title is Jesus is a Big Boy. And the theme of that show is going to be, when you just really want to have a true, honest word with God, are we comfortable doing that? And I'm not, and I'm talking, from what Sherry is saying all the way to, what, God, I'm just really ticked off about something. I'm going to let you have it. Jesus is a big boy. He can handle, and again, Sherry, I'm not saying you're at that place, but just a little look ahead to that show for anybody who, you just really need to have a heart-to-heart with God, but you think, I can't talk to God that way. Well, God is a father. Jesus is our brother, and they're big enough and strong enough, and they got big shoulders, and they can take whatever we want to, respectfully and reverently, present to them as what we're going through. So, Sherry, thank you for that. We are running short on time. I want to try to get to Bill and Emanuela. Bill in West Virginia, if you can be brief, we'll get to Emanuela too. You're on Sirius XM 130. Hi, Bill. Thanks for calling Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hi. I'm just was in my car, but now I'm in a store, so I'm going to have to find a place where I can talk to you.
Okay.
People, I'm in a drugstore, so. But what I was calling about, when you were talking about to someone else there about we put God first before, our wives. That's first. I do that. In my heart, it's first. But I could never tell my wife that. She would just be furious. She wants it first all the time. We've been married 48 years, almost 49 years, and she has had 4 episodes, bad episodes of cancer. She's just in the process of finishing up. For the last 2 years, she's been taking steps to get rid of a real bad cancer that she had. And lo and behold, we found another one. It was just a basal cell. It was on her sternum. And they would have to remove that. But what I want to get at is the fact that, I feel like I'm alone in the house. I have to get up earlier than everybody else just to sit there and say my morning prayers, which usually lasts an hour. If she comes out, if I don't put the book down, it's just, that's it. That's for it for the rest of the day.
Well, Bill, forgive me, Bill. I kind of get the gist of the point, and we're just a minute away from ending the show. And Emanuela in Montreal, please forgive us for not getting to you and any other callers there. But Bill, the thought that came to my mind right now is you be God the Father to her, and if that means in sort of a private way, so that she doesn't necessarily have to be brought into the conscious, intentional practice of your faith or your prayer life, be God the Father to her. I'm hearing, and we're going to pray for her too with the battle for cancer and everything. But Bill, I'm hearing, and please email us, Bill.
Yes,
take two at EWTN.com, and Debbie and I would be happy to further the conversation. But Debbie, there's a wound there that his wife. Some wives, have a difficult time sharing their husbands with anyone, even God. And that's what I'm sensing here. I could be wrong, but Bill, please email us at take2 at EWTN.com.
And all the other calls, please email us if you want to keep the conversation going. We're happy to keep it going. Tomorrow's Interior Freedom. You want to join us, but until then, have a beautiful and blessed day. See you tomorrow.